Yo, what is up guys, Chillfeed here, and man was this an exciting day for Borderlands fans, as we not only got the second major DLC campaign announced, which will be called Guns, Love and Tentacles. We also got a lot of buffs to some of the before underused or even laughably bad legendary weapons in the game. And I already tested out all of the legendary weapons that were affected on Mayhem Mode 4 and took them against some mob enemies, and except for the Ruby's Wrath that received greatly increased damage, I didn't really make a build around them and instead tested them out on my Amara build, which is a build that works for pretty much everything. So with all that being said, let's jump right into the gameplay and info about the buffs. The first weapon that I tested and one where I was pretty excited about was the already mentioned Ruby's Wrath, and even before the buff I already thought the weapon dealt some decent enough damage and even included it in my top 10 underrated weapons list from a while ago. And then I just recently got two level 53 versions of it with some pretty nice anointments on it that were just waiting for me to test them out. The version that I was ultimately using for this video was the one that received plus 225% splash damage on action skill end, so I didn't waste too much time creating a build for Moes on it, and maybe it's because of this specific build, or because I'm not really used to the weapon, or maybe because I had too high expectations after the buff, because the weapon still felt just a little bit underwhelming, especially the vortex grenade that still has a pretty slow cooldown. At least it feels like that when using it. And even though the damage is nice from the volley of homing rockets the launcher shoots, it's not really usable without the vortex grenade, at least not reliably. But with all that being said, it's still a fun weapon to use and definitely satisfying when it works and all of the rockets find their target. But nothing that seems to be changing the meta in any way, at least for now. I would have also loved a more precise info on their patch notes on the Borderlands website, because it just says greatly increased damage and greatly reduced cooldown for the vortex grenade. So if anyone knows more about this, please let me know down in the comment section. Another weapon with greatly increased damage is one of the two buffed sniper rifles, and both of them desperately needed a buff. Let's take a look at the Malaks Pain first though, and I can't really say that the weapon is a good weapon now. I mean, it is definitely more viable and better for mobbing than it was before, but the weapon still feels pretty awkward in my opinion, and also the damage at the times I didn't face grasp my enemies and when they receive my damage bonuses just were not really good enough. The projectiles of the sniper rifle move so slow, the ammo consumption is still very high, even for the shotgun where they reduced the ammo cost from 4 to 2 ammo per shot, so in my opinion this weapon definitely won't come anywhere close to changing the meta or even being the best sniper rifle in the game, and it's not even fun to play with due to its slow moving projectiles and underwhelming ability to pierce through enemies and bounce off of objects twice. So yeah, I don't know about this one.
This is all too easy. A worthy opponent, for one. Grabbed an idiot. Who wants the kill? Stop struggling.
On the other hand, we have a sniper rifle that I'm now very happy about, and one that was somewhat of a meme before. And of course, I'm talking about the Woodblocker, and oh boy is the Woodblocker now worthy of a spot in your inventory with an increased critical hit damage of 100%, and even though it says slightly reduced vertical recoil in the patch notes, it now has basically no recoil at all. And as you can see from the gameplay in the video, it is a pretty damn good sniper rifle now that unfortunately still suffers from a low ammo pool and high ammo consumption as a sniper rifle in this game. But still, the Woodblocker, I can't believe I'm saying this, is a pretty good weapon now.
too easy.
Moving on from there to one of my favorite type of weapons in Borderlands 3, especially back on my first playthrough with Zane on normal mode, TVHM and then mayhem mode 3, because Dahl assault rifles always felt so reliable, accurate, worked great with brain freeze and were always fun to use for mobbing in my opinion. Luckily for me, and I'm sure for many others as well, all of the Dahl assault rifles now received a significant damage buff of 35%, and I tested all of the legendary ones we currently have in the game and also one of the epic quest rewards I got from the Moxie's Heist DLC, because like I said, all of the Dahl assault rifles received the buff. And one thing I will say, I tested all of these weapons on pretty much every character today before the patch went live, because I was working on a top 5 legendary assault rifles video, and even though the difference is definitely noticeable, I might have expected a little more from a 35% damage increase again. With all that being said though, most of these felt still pretty awesome on the Slaughter Star 3000, and I had a lot of fun with all of them, most notably the Warlord with its big magazine and its ability to sometimes not consume any ammo, and of course one of my favorites, the Barrage with virtually no recoil and high fire rate. And then there's the good Juju, an assault rifle which refers to a gun in Destiny that I absolutely loved and was a pain in the butt to farm for me because the Rampager just refused to drop it ever since it got introduced. This weapon was probably the worst Dahl assault rifle of them all due to its super slow fire rate, and it still did some great work against mob enemies, so that for sure says something. Anyway, I will be releasing the top 5 video tomorrow and I will go into more detail about some of the weapons there, but this was for sure a buff that I didn't expect and the one that I'm probably the happiest about.
I can feel the power. Feeling good. Stronger together. Yeah, I could use the practice. Ha! Down you go. Time out. Got one.
And I say probably the happiest for a reason, because I'm not sure about it anymore when I think about the next weapon that received a buff, and this is the #1 meme weapon and what was without a doubt the worst legendary weapon in the entire game before, the infamous LOB shotgun from Torque. And I'm happy to let you know, the LOB is now not just a decent weapon but a pretty good weapon to say the least. It now shoots a 3-shot burst every time you pull the trigger, the mag size has been increased from 4 to 12, and the greatly increased tick damage is the most noticeable change for any of the buff weapons for sure. Unfortunately, the weapon is still very limited in its range, and even with an anointment to increase the projectile speed by 100% on action skill end, the orbs it shoots still require you to be very close to your enemies, and with the orbs traveling through your enemies, you kinda want them to be slow anyways to maximize the tick damage they receive. And lucky me, I got a radiation lob with 300% increased damage after a face slam, and holy Jesus does it feel amazing to see the lob killing enemies quickly instead of just tickling them. And the best thing is, I even was able to kill Captain Trond with my build and it took just about 40 seconds, and I'm sure this is not even its full potential if you properly build around it. So yeah, that's it for me for today. It's pretty late here in Germany and I gotta get some sleep in now. Thank you guys for watching, maybe even leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it or found it helpful, and if you really enjoyed it, why not subscribe to my channel, and I see you guys tomorrow.